Hi there, welcome to the first of a three-part video series on self-love. My name is Stephanie Lafazanos, and in this first video I want to share with you 8 reasons why you should practice self-love. So about 20 years ago I found out that I had a digestive issue. It was called systemic candida. And my digestion was really crap, and my energy levels were quite low. I remember there was a lot of brain fog, a lot of bloating. I was weak. I couldn't do any of the activities that I normally do. All of my sports and things like power yoga and running were out of the question. And I felt like my spirit was literally dying. So I really was focusing a lot on self-healing, and self-love became the cornerstone of my healing journey. So around that time, I consulted with a medical intuitive and an energy healer, actually quite serendipitously that I met this person. And after doing a medical intuitive assessment for me, she says, well, you need to practice loving yourself. And I thought to myself, well, don't I love myself already? Love myself more? How? I just totally didn't get it. And as a medical intuitive now, I sort of hear clients mimic back the same kind of thing. Like, my ex-girlfriend told me that I should love myself. And I thought, oh, don't I love myself? What does this mean? Anyway, so that's why in this first video, I want to share with you 8 reasons why you should practice self-love. The number one reason to practice self-love is that it literally changes your reality. We live in a world bound by the laws of attraction, and this is a vibrational universe. And the vibration of love is the highest vibration there is. In fact, you could say God is love. God is loving awareness. You could say that love is what holds the entire universe together. So when we practice putting ourselves into a vibration of love through self-love, what we end up doing is making manifestation happen very, very quickly. We can think something and feel something one minute and then manifest it the next. And this is no big feat for the universe. It's about as easy as taking an object from one room in the house and moving it to the other room in the house. So if there's a person that you're meant to be with and they're on the other side of the world, it's easy for the universe to bring you together, as easy it is to move one object from one room to the other room. So yes, the first reason to practice self-love is so that you can change your reality. The second reason to practice self-love is that practicing self-love helps to open our heart. And having an open heart helps us to connect with all of the positive virtues of the heart. So those are love, joy, compassion, patience, also truth, beauty, honesty, devotion, gratitude, honor, and so many more. There's an incredible number of virtues that are connected to the heart. So being able to connect with the experiences of the positive virtues more, and connecting with the negative emotions less, stress, fear, and all of that. So that's the second reason to practice self-love. The third reason to practice self-love is because it helps us to heal. So often when we have trauma or other issues going on, it's usually a result of having a bit of a our separation of ourself. There's parts of ourself that we don't accept, that we reject, that we push down into our subconscious because maybe we learned that they weren't appropriate, or they weren't wanted by the people around us. So we call this dissociation, or a split in the self. And when we practice self-love, what we're doing is we're opening our heart to have compassion to all of these parts of ourselves, even to all the things that are the shadow, the things that we're unaware of. We can shine the light of compassion and love into those shadows and bring the parts of ourselves that we have rejected or pushed away, pull it back into wholeness. And this is really a cornerstone of healing, is being able to accept ourselves no matter what is going on inside of us. And that is the third reason to practice self-love. The fourth reason to practice self-love is for more enjoyable relationships and connections with others. So have you ever heard the saying, you can only love someone if you know how to love yourself? I heard this in a Buddhist monastery in Thailand, and as soon as I heard that, it really, really rang true for me. I knew there was a lot of truth and wisdom in that. So we are, everything on the outside of us is a mirror for what is inside of us. So whether we like it or not, in our relationships, we will mirror the parts of ourselves that we're afraid of, the parts of ourselves that we love, the parts of ourselves that we hate. So learning to love ourselves helps us to accept all aspects of ourselves in relationships and in our connections. That is the fourth reason to practice self-love. The fifth reason to practice self-love is because it opens the heart, and the heart is the sovereign of our entire being and our body. That is to say that it is sort of like the ruler or the conductor in Chinese medicine, and also in Taoist cosmology and philosophy, even though Taoism isn't a philosophy. But when the heart is happy, or when the ruler is happy, the whole kingdom is happy. When the conductor is in harmony, the whole symphony is in harmony. So our heart emits this electromagnetic frequency from it that pulses through the entire body, that is felt by all of the cells in the body. And the heart is the most intuitive, sensing and feeling organ of the whole body. That is why it is the sovereign. And that's another reason why it's so important to practice self-love. Practicing self-love fills you with the passion and the motivation and the energy to do you and to do your life. So have you ever heard of the self-love tanks? This was introduced in a book by Dr. John Gray, the guy who wrote Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. And he talks about all these love tanks that we have. And one of the love tanks is our self-love tank. And it's really important that we fill our self-love tanks so that we can be ourselves, we can have the energy and the passion to do the things that make us happy in the world. So that is the sixth reason to practice self-love. The seventh reason it's important to practice self-love is to increase compassion. So when we focus on loving ourselves, we also increase our compassion towards ourselves And when we increase our compassion towards ourselves, we also increase our compassion towards others. And the more we practice, or you as an individual practice loving yourself, the more you make it easier for other people to have compassion for themselves. And the ripple effect of this is that we're living in a world where people have compassion and can get along, and where we put an end to war, or where we communicate compassionately with each other rather than blaming or projecting or arguing or fighting with each other. So the seventh reason to practice self-love is to have a more peaceful and compassionate society. And the eighth reason it's so important to practice self-love is because this is the way that we connect with all life around us. So we're able to communicate without words when we look into another person's eye, even just through this gaze. And we can really see them and feel them when we really drop in and are in that loving presence with each other. And we can also communicate with the animals, we can communicate with the trees, we can communicate with the sky, with the earth, with the ocean, and all the beings that inhabit our universe and our world. In essence, the eighth reason we should practice self-love is because it helps us to feel connected to everything and to feel like we are a part of everything and that we are one with everything. So thank you so much for joining me on this journey of why it's important to practice self-love. And I'm going to get to the how in the next video, so stay tuned for that.